Hi, everybody. Most of you guys know me, even though I'm not on every single call. I'm Angie. You know now that we live close to Lisa and Lenny. My story of coming to Right Division is I actually found Right Division through a patient of mine at work. I was raised Catholic, stopped going to church after graduating high school. Probably 15 years before someone invited me to their church, and it's a kind of a mini mega church in our area, non-denominational, and went there for about 7 or 8 years. Actually got saved there, but don't think I really knew I was saved. And it was a patient at work that came to have an ultrasound one day that asked me, was I a Paulinian? And of course, I was really confused because I had very, very little Bible knowledge. Because the mini mega church, they used every version of the Bible. They had the big screen on up on the stage that would have the scripture verses, but it was from all different versions. They didn't stick to one specific version. But and really what they didn't really teach Bible, they just taught encouraging messages, kind of like Joel Osteen kind of thing. But then they would say the church can't save you, only Jesus can save you, but they would never give a clear gospel. So this fella came in for his ultrasound and asked, was I a Paulinian? And I said, I don't know what you mean. And he said, well, are you a follower of the Apostle Paul? No, I still don't know what you mean. So then he said, well, are you a Jew? Ooh. So I'm there like, my Jew. No, I'm pretty sure I'm French. So he says, well, are you a practicing Jew? No, I'm not a practicing Jew. So then he sat with me for a couple of hours with his Bible, and he didn't really use the terminology right division, but he took me through verses and showed me right division basically, and explained to me why Paul is our apostle and that kind of stuff. So fast forward a year or so, he would come every now and then for his appointments and just bring me little sticky notes with scriptures on it. And he introduced me that first day to Les Feldick. So at the time, I was really struggling with this church trying to teach me that I was required to tithe. And my husband, Wayne, was, very against it. And he actually had looked up some stuff himself and found a video on YouTube and that explained why it wasn't for us today. But that happened before I met this fella at work. So I started watching Les Feldick. And one of the first videos I looked up was about the tithe. So I started watching him every day and just studying and going, wow, okay, I had no idea any of this stuff, really, really opened my eyes, and did that for about a year. And then the gentleman came back for another visit and said, you need to listen to this guy, Rick Jordan, on WSHO at 7:30 in the mornings. Okay. So I start listening to Richard's Daily Bible Time on the way to work every day. And wow, I was like, whoa, it's like listening to Rush Limbaugh of the Bible, I liked his no nonsense approach. And so after a while of listening to him, I started thinking, I got to find where this guy's at, and it took a while for me to hear him say at the end of the teaching, what their website was and all that. So I just started watching messages on their site. And I guess it was probably a good year after that I heard him one day say, there are folks in your area that pay for this ministry and that meet on the weekends. And if you'd like to get in touch with them, call, the number, 800 number. So I called, and they gave me Mr. Jerry's phone number, and called Mr. Jerry, and he said, Well, at that time I had left the mini mega church and I was trying to find something else. Went to my friend's Presbyterian church. No. And tried to go to a couple of their women's Bible studies. And I could tell right away they were, they were teaching more legalism. I didn't know if they understood the gospel clearly, but I didn't ask either. But they were teaching following the Sabbath and things like that. So I went a couple of times and went, nope, okay, not for me. And then I found another little, very, 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 very small church in our area, talked to the pastor on the phone for about an hour, sounded great, told him I was looking for a right division church. He said all the right things. And so I started going there. Went there for a couple of months. And then one day he started teaching on 1 John 1:9. And I'm sitting there going, no, that's not right. I know this isn't right. A couple of other things, verses he had mentioned before kind of was red flagging me, but this one really red flagged me. And I went, nope, okay. So I had called Mr. Jerry in the meantime, and he put me in touch with Lisa and Lenny, and I called them that night. And they talked to me like I was somebody they had already known. And it was just very touching to me. So then I came to home church with them and left that other little church. And I went to Mr. Jerry's a couple of times, and then COVID hit. And so we stopped meeting. And then we had the conference that year. And I came here to Lisa and Lenny's, and we did it on Zoom. And that's when I said, well, why aren't we doing our home church on Zoom? Because if it's this easy, we're not always meeting together, that would be the thing to do. So now that was 2020. So it'll be 2 years now that I've been part of the group, almost 2 years. And it's awesome. And I can tell you, I struggled probably the first year or so with the lack of fellowship and in-person fellowship. And I watched my friend next door go into the Presbyterian church and, enjoying the fellowship and the family atmosphere she had at this church. And I had a lot of feelings of jealousy. But I just kept telling myself, the truth is more important than my feelings and being around people. And I kept telling myself, I don't want to be around people who don't think the way I do, who don't believe the things I believe, and who don't understand this book like I've come to understand it. And it didn't make sense to me. And I kept talking to her about it, but I watched her just continue to want to be part of that. And I told my husband, I said, I can't do it. I can't sacrifice truth for just, fellowship, because how can you fellowship with people you don't have the same mind of? It doesn't make sense. So I gave up on, trying to find a church, because then I found this group, and we're very happy. Now my husband's part of the group, because once we finished building our house in December, I told him, once we move in the house, I want to have Bible study at our house. So we started having Bible study at our house, and with Lenny and Lisa and a couple of neighbors. And now we have a new neighbor, Denise. But it was, I think, through that Bible study that now my husband is saved, and he's part of the group. And, of course, that was something that I longed for a long time. And Lisa and Lenny and Jerry know that. And I can't say enough how grateful I am for that, because that caused me a lot of stress, worrying. My daughter's saved. She also got saved at the mini mega church. But it wasn't until Right Division and Les Feldick really stating the clear gospel that I realized, oh, we are saved, So I didn't even know that for certainty. Yeah. So having the ability to have in-home Bible study and doing things like this has changed our lives forever. And I can't say enough about that. So, and I'm of course grateful for all the people like Eric, like Ernie, who take the time to to spend with us every week and teach. And now Eric's doing a study with us to teach Wayne and Denise how to understand the Bible. So it's wonderful. And that's it. All right. Thank you, Lenny.
Well, very good. Thank you. Wonderful.